Hello, this is Blake Morgan. I am delighted to present to you today Customer Experience Innovation. I am actually presenting this session tomorrow at the SOCAP Southwest Holiday Luncheon, but I wanted to actually make another copy for those of you who might not be able to attend the event and have an interest in customer experience. This is my first time recording with GoToMeeting, so I hope everything goes smoothly. Just give me a second, and there we go. All right. So, who am I? So, as I said, my name is Blake. You might recognize me from my column on Forbes, and here's an example of one of my articles. I also have worked with quite a few brands. Used to work at Intel for a few years, and I've worked with an assortment of other companies, including Verizon Wireless, a bunch of vendors, Misfit Shine, which is a fitness tracker, and the list goes on. So I do have quite a bit of experience in customer service and, more broadly speaking, social media. I have a YouTube show called Blake's Take, where I talk about customer experience in 3 minutes or less. And if you have a moment, check out that show on YouTube. And I also have a podcast show called the Modern Customer Podcast. So that's a little bit about me. Today, I'm going to talk with you briefly about customer experience, providing a short history, looking at the customer experience landscape today, and looking forward at customer experience tomorrow. So, the reason I do this and the reason I'm interested in this space is because customer experience is such an important differentiator for brands today. It's so many brands do such lip service. Oh, we care about our customers. We do the best to serve our customers, but really they don't. Only a handful of companies truly stand out, rise above the rest, such as Amazon, even Marriott, Apple, and grocery company Kroger. You can see here I have some stock prices available. This is the 5-year growth pattern of 4 of the companies that have met USA Today's Customer Service Hall of Fame requirements to be on the top of their list for 2015. So as you can see, good customer service does equal higher profits, but companies are often so short-sighted they can't see the long-term game and they just don't get it. In the past, customer experience was purely thought of something that was defined and executed by customer service. That wasn't something that anyone in any other department might think was their responsibility. And most of us have a recent horrible customer experience we can recall very easily because most companies, again, don't provide that stellar customer experience. So you can see here we have somebody calling in and quite frustrated, and the agent looks kind of like a zombie, not really attentive to the customer. And if you've worked at a big company like I have, you know that you spend a lot of time, if you're in customer service, explaining to other departments what you do. Because people in sales, product, or marketing, they've never really had an opportunity often to interact with customer service. The bigger the company, the more likely it is that their departments really have no clue what happens in customer service. And to me, this is a big problem because every person in the company should understand what customer service does, and every person in that company also has a hand in shaping that customer experience. Today, there's increasingly more awareness about the power of customer experience, and I attribute this to social media because social media created this wonderful opportunity for customer support to rise to the occasion because marketing continued to send out campaigns and so did sales. And guess what? Consumers started responding to those campaigns, and guess who could not answer those questions? Marketing and sales. So then they called up their friends in customer service and said, hey guys, we're getting all these technical questions on social media and we really don't have the knowledge to answer them. And so the contact center, generally a group that stays in the basement, that a lot of introverts work in customer service, they had their opportunity to go out on social media and sort of get on stage, so to speak. Here we have Simon Sinek, beloved author of Start With Why, who says customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. And that is so true. Have you called a contact center or interacted with someone recently who really seemed to just hate their job? Didn't it make it really tough and difficult for you to get your problem solved? I bet it did. Basically, if employees are happy at work, customers are going to feel that in the experience they have with those employees. And this is very simple, very obvious, poorly executed time and time again. I was recently at a big customer service conference and I had the opportunity to sit at a table with someone who worked at one of the biggest sharing economy companies in the world, and he was the workforce manager. And he told me that they were looking at this software where agents could work anywhere, anytime. Through the software, an agent can pick up a shift, trade a shift, decide they don't want to work and get rid of a shift. So basically, the contact center is a place where staffing is very serious. You need to estimate your call volume and then figure out how many bodies you need. And now with new software, the fact that agents can work whenever they want is quite amazing. Just like any on-demand worker, like an Uber X driver who wants to make some extra money, they can just pick up a shift. In the past, a call center agent could never do something like that. I just love any software or any technology that really improves the experience of those contact center agents because, like I said, happy employees equals happy customers. And in the contact center, often those employees are not happy, and it's a real shame. You must live under a rock if you haven't heard of this Starbucks controversy. They removed their snowflakes from their cups for the holidays, and consumers went bananas. So today, customers want to tell you exactly what's on their mind. They have a voice about your corporate decisions, about not just broken products and services, but basically every corporate decision you make, customers have an opinion about it, and they're going to share that on social media. So we're in a different world than we were even just 5 years ago. Some companies really understand the power of social and they're actually listening to their customers. For example, General Mills canceled French Toast Crunch. Like, unbelievable. Why would they ever do that? This is a wonderful product. And their customers were really upset and sad. And so what General Mills did was they actually canceled their cancellation. They continued the product because they saw how brokenhearted their cereal loving customers were. And that's a great example to me of how powerful social media can be and how wonderful it is when brands are listening and they actually take action on that feedback they're getting. So today we're going to talk about the future of customer experience. Basically, in the future, it's not just the software for employees that will be innovated. It's also the way that we handle our customer interactions. So when I talk about channel agnostic customer interactions, most people think, what? That could never happen. A lot of big companies have so many technologies they're working with to take on the email volume that they get, chat, social customer inquiries, communities, and the list goes on of the ways customers interact with companies. And the CRMs they're often multiple CRMs, and it's just a very bloated, ugly process. And you know what? That's why when you call your bank, it takes a really long time for them to identify who you are. And they're often just sitting, going through all these processes that have been created for them because they have so many technologies that they're dealing with. Tomorrow, in the future, there's even more awareness about customer experience throughout the organization, especially at the C-suite. In the future, the use of customer data to spot customer service issues early on are very important, and their data is actually used to continuously improve, not just, oh, that's nice, we have all this data. It's actually actionable data. And then a move toward the Internet of Things, which I will talk about later. So this is a framework I created. It's my 6 rings of the modern customer experience. And essentially, these are the 6 areas that I deem most critical in rolling out a strong customer experience strategy. So to get that seamless experience, number 1, you need a collaboration tool. And the collaboration tool allows employees to interact with other groups. So now, as I mentioned with social media, you've got inquiries from every aspect of the business. It's not just purely customer service, it's PR, it's marketing, it's engineering. So it's really important for the contact center to have the opportunity to ping other departments and ask questions, even legal. And I'm sure those of you listening have had this experience. The third ring is CRM. CRM is hugely important because you need to know who you're talking to. Now, customers are speaking with you on so many channels, and those channels are just multiplying every single day. There's like a new social network that customers want to engage with you on. So I know this is a buzz phrase, seamless customer journey, but it is something that a few companies do well, and most of you aspire to. It's really hard. And basically what that means is matched customer profiles from various channels. So if you send me a message on my Facebook wall and I'm a brand, I'm going to know who you are because you also called the call center. Maybe you sent me a tweet. And maybe if I'm a super modern brand, the customer also texted us or went on the communities, and we have all that information and we can match who you are. And this is really tough today because of the anonymity of the web, but really good CRM systems allow agents to be able to do that. Personalization is a big buzzword in the marketing area, but also from a customer service perspective. Customers want content that's tailored to them. The worst thing in the world is when a customer tweets to you with a question and then you send them to like a 1,000 word document and you don't tell them where in the document the answer is, and you just send them to blindly find their answer in that marathon of the web, of that web page. So by creating a consistent message to the customer that follows them from channel to channel and is updated in real time, you'll create a really powerful customer experience. And wouldn't it be nice if that information was updated for the agent as that customer moves through that customer journey? That would be beautiful, right? So you've got your channels in the fifth ring. So now you have customers coming in on social media. Some of you, like Nordstrom, have in-app messaging where the customer's actually in the app, they have a question, and they can contact an agent that's standing by. Branded communities are hugely important. You've got your web and service. You've got the phone, email, chat, your retail store, and again, some of you, like for example, Airbnb, have text message. The sixth ring are your external stakeholders. And this list is growing because the people who are watching you, especially online now, are your customers, your prospects, your partners, your influencers, and the general public. Like you think about Google, Google has a huge freemium product. And I recently interviewed a GM there who's in charge of customer acquisition. They're serving all of their free customers and then all their AdWords customers and their advertising customers. So they treat everyone, they want to treat everyone with respect and create great products that people will talk about. So they have a lot of work to do. So let's talk about CRM. CRM technology is improving because now we have better CRMs with cross-channel and cross-device capabilities. The customer doesn't have to switch channels or repeat information. I want to stop here and tell you that according to an article in Harvard Business Review, the #1 customer frustration is having to repeat info. Of course, that's very annoying. The modern CRM today matches customer information from many niche websites and other channels, as I touched on that a little earlier, and hugely important, better agent experiences. They say that the best customer service is no service. That's obviously not possible all the time, but if a customer doesn't have to contact you because their stuff isn't broken, that's ideal. But that's, human life. There's a margin for error. I mean, things happen. And customers, they'll like to solve things themselves or at least stay in the channel that they've reached out to you on and have you solve that problem in the same channel. And that came from McKinsey, that quote. To create good customer service, you need to provide an experience where customers can easily switch channels and devices without having to repeat information. Your agents can easily see customer history. And your customer care team has proactive how to's, such as frequently asked questions. And we'll get to IoT, but you can imagine with proactive content, some in the future, products might even fix themselves. I told you that no service is often preferred. And people today love self service. I know millennials like myself don't really enjoy being on the phone. And self service is wonderful. If you can fix it yourself, not only do you fix the problem, but you feel good about yourself. You accomplished something. Now, I want to talk about the sharing economy because I think that in customer experience, we have so much to learn from the technology bubble that's happening right now. And so much innovation coming out of necessity. And the digital disruption has already happened. And I love this slide. This comes from the IBM Entrepreneur Center. The world's largest taxi company owns no taxis, Uber, right? The largest accommodation provider owns no real estate, Airbnb. The largest phone companies own no telecom infrastructure, Skype and now WeChat, which offers calling. The world's most valuable retailer has no inventory, Alibaba. The most popular media owner creates no content, Facebook. The fastest growing banks have no actual money. Society One is a technology company out of Australia that allows peers to lend each other money. The world's largest movie house owns no cinemas, Netflix, of course. And lastly, the largest software vendors don't write the apps, Apple and Google. So things are changing, but how much are things changing in customer experience? Are they changing? And I argue that they are, and we have a lot to learn from actually the way these sharing economy companies are shaping their experiences. If you think about the sharing economy, it is really challenging for them. They can create the technology, but when it comes down to the experience that one customer has with that one host or driver or whatever it is, if you're buying something off somebody from Etsy or you're on TaskRabbit or you're getting your clothes washed on Washio, a lot depends on the interaction with that person. But at least these companies can shape the technology to create powerful experiences. For example, in Philadelphia, I stayed at a wonderful apartment on Airbnb. It had everything you could ever want. It had eggs in the fridge, it had drinks, it had every toiletry item you could ever need. It had a gym set of weights with different weights, so both my husband and I could work out in the same apartment with the same weights. It had a beautiful view, a clean bed, and just a lot of little extras. The guy had created an iPad, and well, he didn't create the iPad, but on the iPad, he created a list of like every great restaurant in the area, bars, fun things to do, to see. And also, when I got to the apartment, he wasn't there, and I hadn't read the instructions like until I had gotten there, and it actually was a code. So I just punched in the code on the door and got into the apartment. So I was thrilled, and I gave him perfect score on Airbnb. And he and I are texting here. This is our text interaction. But can you imagine? So easy to interact with people in the sharing economy. And I recently read a big article in the New York Times about a guy who decided to live in Airbnbs for a year. And he talked about how wonderful Airbnb customer service was. If he had a problem, Airbnb often broke its own rules to fix that problem, like its own process. And he just had such an easy time interacting with them. So, why in the world would you ever want to do business with a big company that's impersonal, makes it so hard to do business with you, makes it so hard to make themselves available to you? When on Airbnb, look, I'm texting with Jonathan like he's a buddy of mine. Fantastic experience. I want to share a quick case study with you from Lux Valet. Lux Valet, they basically will park your car in the city. That you basically say you're driving from LA to Orange County for your job. So you drive to Orange County and they will find a parking lot for you. They'll park your car and then they'll bring it to you when you're ready. If you decide that you want to stay, say you live in LA, as I said, and you want to go out for happy hour on Thursday and you're going to somehow find public transportation home to LA. I didn't say how, but you're going to find it. They will drive your car home for you so you can have a few drinks and you don't have to worry about driving. Or I think they will drive you They'll drive your car home with you in it. And how did they figure out why that they wanted to do that? Through data. Customers were requesting these types of services. So that's what I want to talk to you about, Lux Valet, what they're doing. This is the sharing economy. And it's also on demand. So at Lux Valet, executives are required to participate in parking cars. So they totally understand the customer experience because they are walking through the experience of the frontline employees. Contract workers get full benefits. So this is a really big deal. There's a huge lawsuit happening right now with companies like Uber and Lyft where workers want benefits from Uber and Lyft. And Uber and Lyft, that would be a huge financial burden for them if they had to make their many hundreds of thousands of contract workers. It could even be millions now into full-time workers. That would be a huge financial burden. So Lux Valet went ahead and did that without a lawsuit. They decided that they wanted to control their culture and the training. And when you have full-time employees, you have much more say into how they act at work. When you have contract employees, there's certain laws where you can only be so involved in certain things with them. So you can see they're very devoted to creating a strong culture. So, customer data is a big deal. Most of us at our companies are flummoxed by it. We don't know what to do with it. There's just so much data. We don't trust it. But if you have really good technology, you can better understand your data. And the data will help you spot issues early on. You can provide your feedback back to product and engineering, and also get new product ideas. As I mentioned, the whole drive home on a Thursday night with you in your car, that came from customer data. Now we're going to talk about the Internet of Things, also known as IoT, and how it will affect customer experience in the future. You can see here this guy is talking to his refrigerator. And in the future, all of our products will talk to us or provide information to us. And basically, the Internet of Things has to do with objects talking to each other, being connected to a network. I won't read this exact definition, but basically the integration between the physical world and computer-based systems. And I understand it's anything with an on-off switch eventually will be connected to a computer or a network. I like this tweet. Aaron Levy sends out great tweets. He's the CEO of Box, and I really like his tweet about how software is changing customer experience. So enterprise software used to be about making existing work more efficient. Now the opportunity for software is to transform the work itself. And in the future, this is exactly what's going to happen. With the Internet of Things, with artificial intelligence and other technologies, we will spend less time doing the menial day-to-day tasks of customer service and more time directing systems and technologies and strategies that will help customers. And I had the chance to interview Tim Joyce from Xerox Customer Care. He's the Chief Innovation Officer, and he explains that the Internet of Things is basically this. In the future, intelligent context-aware learning devices will interact with each other and the cloud. Our smartphones and other devices will constantly be added, removed, or modified via downloads from the cloud. Basically, to me, all that means is stuff going on in the background while you work, so you can do what you want while everything is fixed for you. And that's a customer service department's dream, right? So I want to talk for a moment about Tesla. Tesla is obviously an electric car. It's built on software, and it is probably the best example, as you can see here. It says this in Wired magazine, of the Internet of Things, because it's run on software, and the car continually updates itself, like your iPhone. How many of you have a car that can fix itself? Isn't that a dream? It is a dream. I also love the idea of artificial intelligence. I admit this is a bit of a new area for me, but I did have the chance to go and see IBM's Watson, which is the smartest computer of all time. I believe it actually beat a person in the game of Jeopardy. And basically, the idea with artificial intelligence is it will help people in the future make deductions and find answers, searching through millions and millions of documents and resources. But for artificial intelligence to work well now with customer care, the computer would have to be able to understand a problem from a description rather than playing yes or no questions for 15 minutes. The computer should be able to make decisions on its own and negotiate with the customer. We're going to close by looking at one last framework that I created called the elements of the modern customer experience. And we're breaking it down by looking at POST, people, operations, strategy, technology. To me, the modern customer experience starts with really good people. Your leaders are excellent communicators. They're inspiring the agents who also aspire to be excellent communicators. The leaders are customer oriented, they're people oriented. Customer service agents are proud to represent the brand. Can't you just feel that difference when an agent really feels like they have ownership over what they're doing? Or you go to a store and that salesperson really feels like they love that store, they love the products. It just makes it more enjoyable for you, the customer. In an ideal scenario, operations have collaborative business units where people talk to each other. In my opinion, customer service should run social media because they have the knowledge and the expertise and the answers. And the last piece is that agents can account for variation in customer processes. The worst thing you can do is not allow your agents to have a brain. When you script them and you put so many parameters around them, they can make decisions for themselves, and they're not going to allow the customer to go outside of the standard process. And you know what that can mean? Influencers ranting about your brand. People are so angry because it just takes a piece of humanity out of business. If a customer has an extreme situation where they need something, agents should be able to think critically about that situation and make the best response according to their best judgment. Let's talk about strategy for a moment. In an ideal customer experience, I believe that the chief customer officer represents the customer voice in the company and reports to someone so senior, the CEO. There's continual customer journey mapping happening. That means, what is the customer's experience? How are they getting from A to Z? What does it feel like to walk through our web experience? What does it feel like to walk through whatever experience it is that we've created? Also, the strategy should be people first, technology second. You can throw any technology on a problem, but if you don't think about it strategically and really educate and train your people, the technology is not going to fix the problem. Technology, though, is important, and that's why we address it here. Fourth, in an ideal modern customer experience, your CRM connects social media, your communities, and all of your other channels. You have well-run communities. Communities are a beautiful thing. People solving problems in ways that are comfortable for them is really ideal. It creates brand ambassadors. It allows people to try and do things for themselves. It's cost effective. You get wonderful product ideas out of your communities. You get a community that you can actually market things to in the future as long as they opt in. The last piece of this is a mobile first approach. You cannot have a website or a web experience today without a huge emphasis on mobile. And now that's pretty much it. In conclusion, please feel free to message me. If you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. And until next time, thank you for listening.